I'm on the Lazy Lady, and I make a video about what you plan isn't always what you get. And this week I planned on going to work on Monday, and Monday I went to work and it was a great day. Got a lot done, made some money. Tuesday I planned on going to Harrisburg, and in opposition of the Pennsylvania legislature considering new gun control bills, and so I went and did that, and it was a good day. Tuesday night I had to pick up a car that I loaned to a friend whose wife was about to have a baby, and his car was out suddenly acting badly. So I loaned him a car so he can get his wife to the hospital should he have to go to the hospital. And he ended up using it, and it worked out well, and they have a healthy baby boy, and life is good. So I went to pick it up and got dropped off, hung out with him for a little bit. He went to bed. I went out to the car. It needed to be re-registered. So I screwed around with that. It took about an hour, and saw his lights go out. He went to bed. Got the car re-registered, and the car wouldn't start. So that brought up, kind of at a crossroads. Is it the end of the world? Are you getting screwed? Is it the world, the cosmos working against you? Or is this just a challenge? So I took up the challenge, and I walked about 7 miles back to my house at midnight after working all day, after being out all day, and it was all good. But I could have bitched and moaned and got somebody out of bed and got him to pick me up, but I had an impromptu march, and I walked home. Next morning I got up. I planned on going to Harrisburg and continuing the protest because it was a 2-day thing. While the legislature listened to testimony from idiots, they called them witnesses, on why we needed further gun control in Pennsylvania. But instead I had to go and get the car off the side of the road in Pennsylvania, or down in Pottsville, at my friend's house. So I went and troubleshot it. The odd thing was the car was stone cold reliable. It was an old 1995 Blazer. I rebuilt the engine, probably 100,000 miles ago. Very, very reliable car. And it spun, when you hit the starter, it spun really, really fast. And then that means it's either no spark or no fuel. So I drove down there, poked around. It had spark, therefore it had no fuel. It had compression because it had compression the week before. And went and got some gas, fired the thing up. It was parked on a really steep hill, and it seemed as though the fuel pickup just wasn't getting gas. So it was sucking air, i.e. not running, not starting. So I put gas in it, and it was a real easy fix. So even though it was not the day I planned, it was a successful day. I got the car back home. And then I did some other things. I made about 40 pounds of sauerkraut, and then about another 20 pounds of pickles. The next day I planned on getting up early and going to work because we're kind of short on money and need to work. By the time we went to bed the night before, my wife was really hurting. She gets really bad a lot of pain from the weather changes, and it's been changing a lot. So I got up, and my granddaughter got dropped off at about 7 o'clock in the morning because my daughter-in-law has to go to work, and I knew that my wife was not up for watching a 2-year-old toddler, so I stuck around the house. And I could say, son of a bitch, the world's against me, I gotta go to work, and I gotta deal with this little kid. Or on the other hand, I could say, well, this is a really good opportunity to spend some time with our granddaughter. And we had a good time. It was good. And Linda got up around, I don't know, 9:30, 10 o'clock. And she really was under the weather. And did some things around the house, spent a lot of time with my granddaughter, and it was really good. You know, you could consider it a loss, you could consider it a gain. And then today's Friday, got up, the granddaughter was there, and played around with her until my wife got up and left for work. Had a certain number of things I wanted to do, including changing ceiling fans in a house. It's an empty house, nobody lives in it, but it has to be done. And my sister and my brother-in-law and my nephew are out from California at my mother's, so I wanted to go over there and have dinner. As it turned out, the last thing I wanted to do was put in some box covers and things and junction boxes in the basement. And one of them was under an old fluorescent, light fixture. When I went to shove the fixture back in place, the thing almost burst into flames because it's all rotted out. So a few hours later, I had pulled all the wires out, pulled all the daisy-chained wires out, and made it safe so the house won't burn down. And about 8:30, 9 o'clock, I showed up at my mother's to see my sister and my brother-in-law and then my nephew. And had dinner. They were all having dessert. I was having dinner. Hung out with them for a little bit. Now I'm down on the boat. And came down to the boat. Haven't been down here for a couple of weeks. And it's an old wood boat. Anything could happen anytime, but there was no water in the bilge. Everything was dry. Everything was good. So, all in all, it's a pretty damn good week. You can look at everything and say, well, the world's working against me, or the world's giving me something better. And I had times with my granddaughter, 2-year-old granddaughter, she'd probably never remember it, but I will for the rest of my life, of her running around, playing with the dogs, playing with toys, playing with whatever, and we had a good time. So, you can consider it a bad week, you can consider it a good week. I call it a win. It's all in perspective. I got a friend, known him since we were in high school. Every time something goes wrong, the whole world is against him. He never sees anything that goes wrong and says, well, okay, this is a challenge, I'm going to rise to it. It's a challenge, I got to have somebody fix it for me, I can't do it. And it's really upsetting to me that he doesn't understand all the good things that come his way. He only looks at the bad. So even though we're short on money, it's been a crappy summer, and I'd really hope to be at work every day, except for when we went to Harrisburg. I really should have made some real money this week. I made a little bit of money. Made enough money to go to work next week. Next week will be a good week. Spent some great time with my granddaughter. Spent a lot of time with my wife, which is good. And the boat didn't sink, and that's pretty positive too. And as a bonus, we all showed up at Harrisburg, and the state assembly decided they were not going to do anything further as far as gun control goes at this time, which means we held the line. So all in all, it was a pretty damn good week. And that's the way I feel about it. The next week will be even better yet. Y'all have a good night.